If you believe that adding more renewable energy automatically makes the system better, then you are missing one of the most important reality of modern energy system. Because in practice, the more renewable energy you add, the harder the system becomes to manage. That sounds counterintuitive, but it is a reality. Let us start with something simple. Traditional energy sources like coal, natural gas, and oil are controllable. Now you can decide when to produce electricity. You can increase output when demand rises. Then you can decrease output when demand falls. In other words, supply follows demand, but renewable energy works differently. Solar power depends on sunlight, wind power depends on wind. You cannot control when they produce electricity. So instead of supply following demand, demand must adapt to supply. And that creates a fundamental problem. The electricity system requires balance in real time. Every second, supply and demand must match. But renewable energy introduces variability into supply, which means the system becomes more volatile. We can already see this in real-world example. In Germany, during periods of strong wind and solar generation, electricity supply can exceed demand. When that happens, prices can fall below zero. The producers literally pay the market to take the excess electricity. But when the wind drops and the sun sets, the situation reverses. Supply tightens and backup generation becomes essential. In California, high solar penetration has created what is known as a duck curve. During the day, solar generation floods the system, but in the evening, as the sun goes down and the demand remains high, the grid must ramp up other sources extremely quickly. This creates stress on the system, and in extreme condition, it can lead to blackouts. So the issue is not whether renewable energy can generate electricity. It clearly can. The issue is whether the system can handle variability, and this is where the real challenge appears, because the more renewable energy you add, the less predictable the system becomes. And the less predictable the system becomes, the more infrastructure you need to stabilize. This leads to a paradox. Renewable energy reduces fuel dependency, but it creates system complexity, and complexity requires control, which means that the real bottleneck is no longer generation capacity, it is system stability. It is why in many countries renewable expansion eventually slowed down and after reaching a certain level, not because the technology stops working, but because the system starts to struggle. Renewables solve the problem of generation, but they create a new problem, stability. And in energy system, stability is everything.